Instructions for living a life. Pay attention. Be astonished. Tell about it. Mary Oliver. Environmental art, kicking things off with nature journaling, and we're going to do a little exploring of this course. So the big goal is to inspire you to start nature journaling and or enhance your current practice with new hot tips. Here is some nature journaling from our recent trip to Starved Rock. These are some cool bison that we got to see at the state park. And here is some sketching of cones that we found in the forest and the rookery that we learned was for the great blue heron population that returns. Here are some cool leaves we found while we were there and a gold-worthy inspired environmental art challenge. We made a big mandala. The vision for the program: participants in the Art Environmental program gain environmental awareness, creative self-expression, and personal agency. So why nature journal? Connect with nature, improve observation skills, increase mindfulness, develop ecological awareness, and lower stress. So our overview for the rest of this presentation, we're going to talk supplies, drawing prompts, practice ideas, habit building, finding community, and good resources to tap into. So for our supplies, all you really need is a pencil and a sketchbook. But when I head out, I like to bring a bunch of variety. So let's take a look at some of those things. You could use just pen and ink. Ballpoint works great. I love these microns because they come in different colors and different widths and they're waterproof. Here is water-soluble graphite, also really low tech. You can just use a water brush and create really atmospheric expressions, which makes it easy to carry along. Colored pencil, also fun for the field, although they can be heavy in a big old bag. I took a backpacking trip once and my colored pencils outweighed my snacks. So I switched over to watercolor and pen and ink because it's a lot lighter and more, just more travel friendly. Watercolor sets come in all kinds of sizes. And then I love to work on tone paper because the whites really pop. So this is white gel pen or white gouache and watercolor on brown, usually Stonehenge paper. Nature journaling gives us an opportunity to play around with materials in a low stress environment. So as we're out observing nature, we can try new supplies. The first one here is coffee rings, so just making a mess with a coffee mug. The second one are beet prints. I noticed that the red from the beet was the same as the rosy front of the house finches. So as far as drawing encouragement, it's a skill anyone can learn. It's really about learning to see, and when we practice with intention, we can improve our skills. So basic drawing tips: look before you draw, block in the basics, light and loose, check proportions, add details just to the focal points. Is it okay to use photographs? You bet. Drawing from life is a wonderful opportunity to get more in tune with nature, but using photos or internet references is a great way to scaffold your skills. John Muir Laws is a wonderful author and teacher, and his book on nature journaling is a wonderful resource. Some of the tips he recommends are an activity called zoom in, zoom out, which is where you take a wide look at the object, like seeing the forest, and then taking a closer look at the trees. So for instance, here's some prairie plants. Zoom out to see the whole thing, and then zoom in close to see the details in there. Inside out, where we're taking a look at internal structure, like skulls, and then comparing it with the outward appearance. Looking at things from different angles is just a great metaphor, and I think nature journaling gives us some mindful time to explore other ideas in our lives. When you're stuck for what to write, the prompts "I notice," "I wonder," and "it reminds me of" can be really helpful to just get started. Taking lots of field notes so you can look things up later, and really paying attention so you know what to write down. Just that observation skill is really key to nature journaling. The one on the right hand side, all those notes about the bee were taken in the field before I had any paint, and it gave me enough memory to go back and paint it later. A tradition in scientific illustration is to use a single thin line to represent a centimeter, and that's a nice tool to have at your handy ready. Drawing maps can help us to be more aware of our space and surroundings. I'd never really taken a close look at Sweden until I drew the map. I was surprised. Creating diagrams can help us to figure things out and remember processes, help to sort things and just be reminded and take a closer look. Down at the bottom here is how to take a walnut seed and turn it into ink that you can paint with. The last bar is an example of that ink. Capture the colors. When you don't feel like making really tight observational drawings, but you're enamored with the colors or just doing some color play, trying to capture all the colors that you see. Drawing stuff around the house. Your refrigerator is usually a great source of nature to sketch and observe. And then visiting local parks and nature preserves is a wonderful way to get connected with resources available to us and get more familiar with our surroundings and our local spaces. Visiting natural history museums can bring us up close and personal with things that we might not otherwise get access to and from different parts of the world. The Field Museum is a wonderful resource here in Chicago. And then, of course, like Field Museum or any kind of natural history museum, botanic gardens are a wonderful place to sit and get up close to all kinds of species and practice and get to see things differently. Likewise, aquariums. You'll notice there's a lot of seahorses. I do love seahorses, but they hold still, so they're a wonderful warm-up creature. Same thing with zoos. So reptiles are a favorite at zoos because they are slow moving for the most part. You can get warmed up before you get to the hard things. And then be prepared for unexpected opportunities. If you have your sketchbook with you, you never know when you might have some downtime to sketch some nature around you. Intentionally plan a trip or make time on a trip to bring your sketchbook and observe nature. This was a trip to Glacier National Park, a solo trip with the full intention just to be to sketch, just to draw and get familiar with the ecology going on. Here are some things for building habits, just different kind of trendy challenges to try. The first is Inktober, and there's a million versions of it. So here's one that's got a natural science bend. So the idea is for every day in the month of October, there's a different prompt to draw related to the natural world. And so it's an opportunity to do some nature journaling, to get familiar with creatures and processes and structures. Another habit building practice is to keep a perpetual journal. Some people break it up 1 month or 1 week at a time. I do mine 3-page spreads per month. And then every year during that same 10-day spread, I go out and draw something that is out in nature seasonally. And it's really helped me to be more in tune to the seasons, especially winter. You could pick a theme like birds and just do a deep dive and get familiar with structures, take some classes, learn some variety, or take a class. So these are 2 that are picture notes based on classes that I took online during the lockdown. Here are some great resource books. So there's a bunch out there just about nature journaling or watercoloring in nature. I also find that Urban Sketcher books have wonderful tips for drawing on site. And even though they tend to be more focused on architecture and humans, they have some wonderful skill building exercises to help nature journalers be more mindful and tuned in the moment. Here are some good websites and groups to get familiar with if you're interested in like-minded people to hook up with. Here are some Instagram handles to follow to get inspired or encouraged, just to see some variety that's out there in the nature journaling community. Let's bookend with another Mary Oliver quote. And that is just the point, how the world, moist and beautiful, calls to each of us to make a new and serious response. That's the big question, the one the world throws at you every morning. Here you are, alive. Would you like to make a comment? Thank you.